good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world and whatever platform you are watching / listening to. This is Wrestling with Faith with me, your host, Dave Abbott. And you can get us on the following platforms on Twitter, Faith_Wrestling. And from there, you'll see links to where we have the podcasts on, one of those being youtube.com/Wrestling with Faith. And we're also on facebook.com Wrestling with Faith, as well as Spotify and Apple and Amazon and Google Podcast and various others that are through Anchor. What used to be called Anchor, I think it's now been taken over by Spotify. And without further ado, this is one of the things that I love. One of the many things I love about doing the podcast is that when I do a podcast and I'm speaking to people about faith, or whether it's to do with mental health, or whether it's to do with the world of wrestling. And when we assume wrestling, we just think wrestlers. But there's always that man or woman in that match that is a key, integral part of that match. Otherwise, we ain't got a match. And I'm pleased to say we have the titled King of the Ref Bump himself, Mr. Scott Bell. Scott, most important question I'm going to ask you today, brother. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I took a bump at the weekend, but I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, if you're the king, man, I'm assuming, rightly or wrongly, you're getting used to these bumps, aren't you? Rightly or wrongly.
You never get used to a bump in a ring. I mean, it's not as much as the guys and girls do, but like when you're not used to it, it does take its toll.
Yeah, man. I mean, those wrestling rings, I mean, they slap, don't they? Let's not kid ourselves, man. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of people think we're like a trampoline, and they aren't. It's just pure metal with sheets of wood and a little bit of underlay, and that's all there is to it.
It's going to hurt, man. It's going to hurt. Whether you get slapped on the back, knees, hands, whatever it may be, it's going to hurt. Well, let's follow on from that then. So tell us some of the bumps you've taken and who has purposely or accidentally delivered those bumps to you.
So my first bump I think I mainly ever took was from Rory Coyle, and that was like a miscommunication in a ring. And I just got backed into a corner, but it hit me with that much force. I like bounced off the turnbuckles and I broke my watch. I was wearing at the time in the ring. No. And then my second one was again from Rory Cole, and that was a steel chair to the head.
Oh, so wow.
There's a big difference.
Rory's got a bit of form. Then. Is that what we're saying? Rory's got a bit of form.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. I've taken so many just from like little knocks, mainly like Nathan Cruz matches, because Nathan loves a ref bump in the main events.
A local lad to me is Nathan. Yep, East Yorkshire. Yep.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
But yeah, most recent one I took a pedigree on Saturday, in Hull at Owelly for Rise.
Right.
I've taken obviously chair shot to a front. I've taken a chair shot to a back at 1PW for Vicky Haskins. I've taken a power slam. I've taken a pounce, a spear, all sorts really.
Wow. So what you're saying is you're open to all offers. So if anybody fancies giving Scott Bell a bump in the ring, you're pretty much had nearly everyone.
Apart from like the big bumps, like someone once tried to say to me, "Oh, I'll give you a power bomb." I was like, "No, that's not happening. We'll do something else. We'll settle in the middle for something."
Chair shots, yeah. Power bombs, nah. I'm drawing the line. The line. Well, I was fortunate to be at 1PW in Donny a few months ago, which was an awesome event. You mentioned Nathan Cruz there. He was obviously in the match with Big Lance as well, which was brilliant. I mean, you've done the 1PW events. I mean, talk us about where it all started from. So how you got into refereeing in wrestling, the first matches you did, and how you've managed to work your way up to become one of the top referees in Britain, because that's the way it's gone, Scott, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's you're going up and up and up. You're getting into matches where you're refereeing, stars from Impact, from WWE, from AEW, and various other well-known organizations and promotions in the world. Where did it all start from, and how did you get into wrestling?
So my grassroots of it all started with NUW in Hull.
Right.
So I joined. Oh, when did I join NUW? I used to go and watch them with one of my mates from school. Well, he's a wrestler now, Benjamin Quill. We both went to go and watch a show at Beverley Memorial Hall.
Yeah.
And there were some flyers saying, do you want to be a wrestler? So-and-so, come to this location on this day. It's every Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever day it was. So I thought, we'll give it a go. So we went and gave it our first session, and we haven't looked back since. Both of us have been there week in, week out. Like, I'm not there as much now because I'm a referee, so I don't need to train as much to be a wrestler. Because back then I wanted to be a wrestler. But yeah, I started with NGW, and then probably about maybe 2 years in, I'd say, probably like 2017 that I started with NGW. And then about 2 years in, maybe close to 3 years in, I sort of pulled Matty Myers aside, who was one of the trainers, along with Nathan Cruz. I said to him, look, I won't mind giving refereeing a go, because everyone in this group's wanting to be a wrestler. And I mean, I'm only 5'4", so me compared to all those big lads, it's not really like I didn't see much hope for myself as a wrestler.
Right, okay.
I know it was like Rey Mysterio and people like that, but like at that point in time, British wrestling was full of these big burly lads, and I was like, there's no hope for me getting on any shows. So I started paying more attention to referees and watching like Charles Robinson, Mike Chioda on WWE.
Yes.
So I said to Matty, look, is there any chance to give this a go? I won't mind telling him, because at that point in time, there wasn't many referees in the UK at all.
Wow.
Like, there was few and far between. It was only Adam James Bullivant who only sort of did like NGW for Hull. And then you had all the guys up in the north and all the guys in the south, but there was no one covering the middle like area of the UK.
Right.
Especially Yorkshire. Like, there was no one in Yorkshire.
Wow.
Up until like recently, it was only me when I started. So yeah, I started with that, and then I sort of just started to enjoy that more and more and more, rather than taking the bumps. And then Matty gave me my first gig. Well, that's BWR when I worked for in Cleethorpes and Grimsby. Can we? I've got my miss trainee here. Is there any chance we can give him a match because he's wanted to be a referee? So I ended up being in his match, which was a tag team match. It was him, a guy called Jack Wellington versus Harry the Hammer and Simon Lancaster. And we did a low blow right in front of me. So like the first match, and it's just, where do I go from here? Is it like it's already down for me, isn't it, after that? But yeah, and then again, Matty brought me back in to BWR, and then my second match was Kanji versus Session Moff Martinez, so we got better with that one. And then BWR sort of like opened the door for me with refereeing wise, and then I started getting gigs with NUW. It took me a while to get gigs with NUW, but then Rich, who owns NUW, sort of saw what I was doing at BWR and took an interest in it, and thought, we'll give them a go. And then I started doing the proving ground shows for NGW, and then I moved up to like main shows, and then rest is history from there. I just sort of spiraled from there, and just I tried to better myself every time I'd go out there and referee, and I'd always ask for feedback from certain people and take that as I take any criticism and sort of act upon that and think, where can I go better here? What can I do there? And just trying to hone my craft over the last 4 years. And I think, the amount of like matches I'm getting now, which are quite high caliber, it's a testament to myself in like how far I've come.
Yes,
it's always good to see how far you've come.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's good to have that self-reflection as well, isn't it? To look at where it all started to where you are now, and probably just as more important than that, where it's going to go to. I mean, I think it's great the fact that you saw a gap, a sort of an opportunity when you was training to be a wrestler to go, do you know what? Just in case it doesn't work out for me being a wrestler, what can I fall back on where I can still be involved in the industry that I love and that I want to be a part of, not just as a fan, but as a performer or somebody just working within the industry. And obviously, you saw that opportunity, like you said, there was nobody else in Yorkshire doing it, and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so. With that being said, I would imagine there'll have been a lot of opportunities, and it's created a lot more opportunities for you. Um,
Mm.
Obviously, being a wrestling fan, when you're
Mm.
watching the referees, there are those moments, certain matches where the referee's personality
Mm.
has to come across to help support the people in the ring as well. So obviously, like you mentioned about the bumps and stuff like that, calling contentious decisions and sending people to the back and all the other
Yeah.
animated things that we see week in, week out on mainstream shows. But for you personally, what do you think that Scott Bell offers that may potentially, not dogging anybody, but potentially what
Mm.
other British wrestlers don't offer at the moment? What have you had to put in and what have you made your own to sort of carry on through and make sure that you're the one who gets booked for the next main events?
Like I say, it's just honing your craft, and like a lot of that like came through like doing camp shows, like week in, week out, just getting better, trying new things, watching referees and picking something from that person and trying that. And it was all just my philosophy on it. I was trying to get an amalgamation of different referees and make it my own.
Mm.
So if you watch me, there's a bit of Chris Sharp in me, bit of Tom Scarborough, a bit of Mike Chioda, bit of Charles Robinson, especially his facials. I love his facial expressions. But like for me to keep myself going and sort of not stand out, but to like my goal is to help that match progress and
100%.
tell that story.
Yes.
You do get some referees like in certain big companies who sort of, for me, they take away from that. They take away from the guys and girls in the ring.
I would agree.
Uh,
Yeah, I'd agree with
and
that.
that's not what we're there for. We're there to elevate the match and tell that story between those two people or four people, tag match or whatever sort of match it is between those people in the ring. We aren't there to be a centre of attention.
Yeah.
That sounds really hypocritical when I get bumped all the time. But again, it's like
But it's part of the
that's there
story.
to help tell that story.
Yeah.
And for me, like the thing what I'd say I'd bring most to it is I always go by the saying like reaction equals emotion.
Mm.
So if I'm not reacting to what they're doing in a ring, but it doesn't look as effective to anyone if they're seeing a
Agreed.
snapshot of it or a video of it or for the audience. So if I'm reacting to a big move, and I think that helps elevate that move in general and helps elevate a match
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
just stood there being emotionless.
Well,
But
I'd
I think
agree
that's mainly
because
what
no sell, no buying, is there? If you're not selling it, no one's
exactly.
buying it. It's as simple as
Yeah,
that. And
exactly.
you've got to be part of that sell, haven't you? I mean, how many matches have you and I seen like over like decades where the referees are just quite forgettable in some matches, and
Yeah,
sometimes, but then like you've alluded to there, Scott, is some of them you just think, dude, you need to tone it down because this match ain't
yeah.
about, it's not about you. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? You need to
mm.
just take a step back and just let the men and the women just do it because
Oh,
that's what
gotcha.
that's what people are paying for. I know
Yeah.
it sounds a bit harsh to say, but they're paying to see the people who are coming out to the music and the fanfare,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's I suppose, like you say, it's a small part what the referee does, but in certain matches it can be absolutely integral. I mean, we all know the Montreal Screwjob
Yeah.
for a start. I mean, I'm not saying that you ever want to get into that sort of predicament where you're doing an El Hebner and you're literally driving out the building before the fans can get to you. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
but there are certain moments in time where we see where referees get knocked out and it can delay a face getting a pin and things like that.
Mm.
So it is important. And would you agree it's like when you like the wrestlers themselves for the referee, it's all about timing, it's all about knowing when to execute something and knowing when to hold back as well, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I say, with expressions, like you build it up, with them guys in the match, like they build up a normal match. You see, so if you're making a massive thing about a suplex, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
If they hit a suplex and you're like, oh my god, in the ring, sort of thing, and then they go and hit a Canadian destroyer and you just do the same thing, people gonna think, oh, that's the same effect you've got there, but
Yeah.
like for us, like time when you say like timing's our thing. Like we are the timekeeper in the ring.
Yeah.
Essentially, we're relaying times back to the guys and girls, and we're there to make sure that show runs smoothly and tip top. If it runs over, it's partly our fault because we're there to relay a message back to the guys and girls saying, look, come on, you need to sort of take us home now and get on with it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I always say this, in a singles match, there's 3 people involved in that match. Not just the 2 people who are against each other, but also the referee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all there to make that story, you know, what it possibly can be, as best as it possibly can be. But we're also there to, like I say, do the timings. We're first port of call if anything goes wrong in a match. Because I've had it before, we've had to call matches short, or people have been injured and not been able to continue. So you've got to have that wit about you to just think on your feet and think, well, I can't let this go on. Let's cut it down. Let's shut it down. Whatever. So there's a lot with where to think about certain spots in the match, finishes. There's a lot going on in a referee's head. What people don't realise, a lot of people think it's just there to count the 1, 2, and a 3, and it's not just that. Like it's a lot. It's taken a while to hone this craft of, you know, what we do. Yeah. You can't just stick on a shirt and just count 1, 2, 3. It's not as simple as that. As much as people think it is.
Not like we saw D'Lo Brown do when he came down in that match with Nathan and Lance as well. Like great cameo though, but I think there's like you say, there's a lot more to it. It's, you know, I would even argue the fact that people who are wrestlers couldn't just quickly transition into being a referee. There's a lot more, you know, that you have to be aware of. I suppose it's like saying that a good footballer automatically makes a good manager. It doesn't always work that way, does it? You know, there has to be a reset of your thought process as well.
Like when I was trained to be a wrestler, that helped me be a better referee. And I was trained to be a referee, it helped me be a better wrestler. Right. So if I was trained to be a wrestler, it helped me to understand where I need to be for certain moves, like getting around for the shoulders for like a suplex. I'd see it coming, so I'd be around there for the shoulders. And exactly the same for a wrestler. It helps you understand the psychology more.
Yes, 100%. Which is part of it as well, because like you say, you alluded to it earlier. You're there to help a story sell, and what the fans want to see, not just a good wrestling match, which every wrestling fan wants to see, but we want to see some development. Is this a one-shot thing? Is it an exhibition? Or is there actually something undercurrent that's bubbling here to something bigger and better and prolonged as well? Yeah, and like definitely. You say, the referee has got to play his or her part in that, no matter how small it is, to help that go along, whether it's a decision that the fans don't like or whether it's a decision that the fans love or something in between. You know, you are the decision maker at the end of the day. And you know, someone in that ring on the opposite side is going to be disappointed with you as the referee as well. So again, that can also build up as part of a story. We alluded to it before we started doing the podcast, that not only are you a wrestling referee, but you are obviously a huge wrestling fan. So growing up, your first little sort of insight into wrestling, where did it all kick off from? And you know, who was the influences for that?
So my influence from an early age would have been my granddad, because when Sky first came out, he used to tape WWF Superstars.
Get in.
And all the WWF shows were on there. I remember having a VHS, which I used to watch on repeat, and it would have the segment between Jake the Snake, Undertaker, and Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Where they go into like, I can't think where it's like this really dark room, whatever it is. And is it Ultimate Warrior gets trapped in like a coffin somewhere, and it's all very weird. But that's my first like vivid memories of it. And then my first time when I properly got into it would be 2001. So WrestleMania 17 was my main thing of getting into it. So back when it was on Channel 4.
Yes.
And you could watch it.
That's
so
right.
You'd watch like Heat, and then you'd watch pay-per-view straight after it.
That's right, yeah.
So WrestleMania 17 were probably when I fully got into it, and then started getting bought like wrestling videos by my family, and it sort of spiraled from there. Really, that's sort of my earliest memories of it, and then sort of peaked out a little bit about maybe 2009, 2010, and then strangely, once I started wrestling training, I stopped really watching wrestling because you look at it in a different light.
Yeah, I would imagine you do. Yeah. Well, that was going to be one of my questions. Like, so obviously being in wrestling, starting to train to be a wrestler, obviously being a referee,
Mm.
how does that affect you in terms of, because now, like I do, we can watch anything and almost everything to do with wrestling. We've got New Japan, we've got MLW, we've got House of Glory, we've got AAA, Lucha Libre, we've got AEW, WWE,
Mm.
and probably tons of others that have on Impact as well,
Yeah.
and others that I've probably forgotten now off the top of my head that we've all got access to. Does that make you want to just sort of stem away from watching it as much now? Or does it encourage you to watch it, or does it just depend on the
I
promotion?
haven't I haven't watched wrestling properly in probably about 4 years now.
Right.
Like since I've been refereeing 4 years, and then once you when you're doing it week in week out, like I mostly am, like most weekends, you just not get fed up with it, but you see enough of it,
Yes.
so you
Yeah.
get caught in this bubble of Brit rest. I mean, I do
Yeah.
sort of like just like look at like highlights and stuff,
Yeah.
just sort of try and fathom what's going on. But there's like so many people who I don't even recognize anymore who are in like WWE or I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
Or like I'll be watching it and I'll be like, oh, I've refereed them. Like I refereed Pretty Deadly back in 2019. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like from the game that I'm playing now as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just don't really watch it anymore. I mean, I watch it like if it's a big event, I'll get together with some of the lads or whatever and watch it live. But like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just too. I feel like I'm just too old now just to watch it live half the time. I can just watch it on the next day on a network. Like,
Well, this
so,
is it. Yeah, this is it now. Like the way we are like tuned into almost everything, aren't we? We can just watch it on demand
yeah,
or just
exactly.
whenever. Do you know what I mean? So that's fine. Um, Favorite wrestler growing up or wrestlers?
Favorite wrestlers. My number one's Undertaker.
Right.
I probably see like in the background with my
Posters,
Undertaker
yeah,
belt there.
yes, that's class.
Um,
That is great.
Undertaker and Kane mainly. I just loved
Yes,
Undertaker and Kane. They're my favourites growing up.
Brothers of Destruction was phenomenal. Kane was my favorite wrestler
Mm.
because I just thought when he made his debut, there was no one like him beforehand. There was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
what is this? And then as the weeks and months got on, the guy doesn't even talk and stuff like that.
Mm.
And it's just got Paul
Mm.
Bearer as the mouthpiece. And seeing
Yeah.
Paul Bearer going at the Undertaker as well was just something from a story development point of view was absolutely
Mm.
brilliant because synonymous Paul Bearer and the Undertaker together, and then to see them go
Mm.
against each other, and obviously the Brothers of Destruction, the various feuds back together
Yeah.
over the years,
Well,
and then obviously
I
they beat the two-man power trip, didn't they, for the tag titles, Austin and
yeah.
Triple H. So yeah,
Like
just phenomenal.
I've been in seeing like WWE a load of times. I've been like
Yeah,
most years since like 2005, and I've never got to see Undertaker. I've seen Kane before, like without his mask, and then when he returned with his mask and all that stuff. But I've never got a chance to see Undertaker in all the time, like 10 plus years I've been to see wrestling.
right.
And then I went to go and see Raw at Manchester Arena, and it was when Bray Wyatt was doing his eulogy for Brothers of Destruction.
Oh, right.
And it wasn't advertised at all. It was advertised for SmackDown the next day. And then all of a sudden, like the pyro hit, and then this video package played on the screen, and then the smoke started, and then the gong sounded. I was like, "Oh my god, it's happening! It's
Wow.
happening!" And then lo and behold, they both come out on the stage, and then like face to
Wow.
Wyatt. So I was like in my element.
That is awesome. What a
It
moment as
was
well.
amazing.
Like your
Oh
favorite
yeah,
wrestlers as well. I mean, and like you say, it wasn't too long after that that they retired. They've
yeah,
sort of
yeah. I was
they've
so glad I got to see him before he retired.
yeah, they hung the boots. I remember seeing the Undertaker. It was at it's back in the day when they used to sort of do sort of token pay-per-views in the UK, and it was called
Mm.
Insurrection.
Oh
I
yeah.
think back in 2001, 2002, and it was Undertaker in a handicap match against the two-man power trip of
Mm.
Stone Cold and Triple H, and Undertaker won, and
Yeah.
it was just immense. But like the British crowd, like when Undertaker left, there was still Austin and Triple H in the ring. And it was just like when Hulk Hogan turned into the NWO, there was just bottles
Mm.
flying. It was just it was just chaos. I just felt like saying, like, if I could have grabbed one of them, like, welcome to the UK, lads. This is
Yeah.
how
There's
it is.
nothing there's
But
nothing like British fans. Like I was at Clash at the Castle, And when Edge came out and they all started singing, like, it was just amazing. Amazing.
That was one of the better pay-per-views that I saw in recent years from WWE because, you know, it has its own market. It's a PG-13 market. So you appreciate you're not going to get anything on the level of GCW, AEW sort of, you know, graphic on there. And you know, they're not going to be given the license to do whatever they want, like they would do on Impact or something like that. So you appreciate it for what it is. But that was one of the better pay-per-views, I thought, Clash of the Castle. I thought it was really good.
Like live, like some of the matches were absolutely quality. Like the Sheamus match was really good.
Yeah.
And the main, like, we're all obviously thinking that Drew was gonna, you know, beat Roman, and then he never did. And it's like, and then we got Tyson Fury singing American Pie. And it was just so random. And we're like, are we still on air? Like, is this going out? And it was. There's a bell. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, they actually put it in, didn't they? They left it in the
They must have had loads of time left.
Yeah, must have done. Like,
he's
so worked with them before, like Tyson Fury. He did the was it Crown Jewel, wasn't it, as well? Which will have been no small payday for him, no doubt. But but I mean, like I say, I mean, live wrestling. You know, anybody watching or listening to this now, get out there and support local wrestling, live wrestling, because one of these days you're going to miss a trick, and you're going to see some of these British wrestlers are going to be mainstream. You know, there are some of them that you and I know that we've spoken to as well. I've done it through podcasts, speaking to people on Twitter and at 1PW events, where you just know things. It's not going to be that long now before certain people are going to take over, you know, into just watching before we spoke, just saw watching Subculture on Impact. As well. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, I know that they've been there before and been in WWE, but you know, these are great talents that have graced. You know, there was at 1PW, you know, earlier on this year, which I was, you know, blessed to be at, and speaking to people like Frankie Kazarian and you know, Bullet Club and people like that. You know, after the matches, just get out to it if you can. Get out to a live wrestling event. Cannot encourage it enough, whether it be in Hull or further afield. Just get out there and support local wrestling, because you never know who you're going to bump into and who you're going to reference to years down the line as well.
Oh God,
we're coming towards the end of the podcast, Scott, and I know that you and I could wax lyrical about wrestling all day long. So hopefully you and I will catch up in a few months' time, just to see where your journey's been since this podcast. But what I want to do is I always put people on the spot right at the very end of my podcast. So congratulations, Scott Bell. You are now the captain of your very own Survivor Series team. The only drawback is that you're going against me and my Survivor Series.
Okay.
But you have to show your hand first. And by that, you've got to tell us who are the 4 wrestlers, male, female, in any promotion, past or present, that are no longer with us, that are retired or that are still active. Who are the 4 people you could trust to back you in the main event of Survivor Series?
Oh, is it just any promotion or like British wrestling?
Any promotion the world over, whether it's the indies, whether it's mainstream, and you can have anybody in their prime from any era.
Well, I'm obliged to say Nathan Cruz as number 1. Because for me, he's the most underrated British professional wrestler there is today. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
I'm hoping to get him on the podcast soon as well. He's reached back out to me. So yeah, Nathan, understood. Yeah, okay. So we've got Nathan Cruz on there. You've got 3 more.
Undertaker.
Okay.
Definitely. And I got 2 more. Oh God. I want to go Lizzie Ever, because she's absolutely phenomenal.
Great shout. She mugged me off big time at that 1PW event. I genuinely thought she'd done her ankle in. So yeah. So when she comes on the podcast, she'll be getting it with both barrels from me, because I was like, my mate was like, nah, she ain't. I was like, dude, she looks like she's really done her ankle in, like jumping off that turnbuckle. And man alive, fair play. I mean, hats off.
We did have people complain that it seemed too realistic. We're telling a story, aren't we?
Telling a story. Mate, it fooled me, honestly. Hook, line, and sinker. So we've got Nathan, we've got Undertaker, we've got Lizzie Evo. Great shout so far, by the way.
And then I'm going to go Kane, aren't I? Kane.
Fair play.
Definitely.
So you've got Brothers of Destruction, you've got Nathan, and you've got Lizzie. So I need to counter that. So I'm gonna counter Nathan, and I'm gonna go straight in there with Will Ospreay. I think that'd be a good toe to toe. You've got Lizzie Evo in there, right? Okay, then. So I need to. I'm going to go Jamie Hayter on that. I'd love to see that. Fair. Jamie Hayter and Lizzie Evo, Battle of Britain.
Really good. I spent a full weekend with Jamie Hayter at the wrestling convention. What had just been a few weeks ago. I was her handler all weekend. Yeah.
No way. Epic. Yeah, she seemed lovely, cool. By the way. She's
really, absolutely. Really cool. She spent so much time with every person who came to the table. She's such a lovely person.
Awesome. Gutted she lost the belt. Yeah, but I think that again, it's all development. That there's going to be more to that. You've got the Brothers of Destruction. So man, who do I come back with? Do you know what? I'm going to go old school. I've got two options, but do you know what? Just for the sake of just because it is the Brothers of Destruction, I'm going to go Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, to try and counter that. Because
I thought you were going to go 2-man power trip.
No, I was going to go Demolition, but I thought Demolition, but no, it's all right. I'll so Legion of Doom, Jamie Hayter, and Will Ospreay, and I think
2 strong teams there.
Yeah, and I think Dave Meltzer's going to give that 7.5 stars. So I think we're going to be safe on that one.
We'll get Ospreay in it, of course he is.
Well, yeah, of course it is. And we'll get the t-shirts as well, Scott. So, Scott Bell, it's been an absolute blessing, man. Really, really appreciate it. It's great to have somebody local as well. I think you're the first guy locally I've had, anybody locally, on the podcast as well, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now. You've got 5 more minutes. Just plug all your socials. Where can people get you? Where can people book you? And where can people see some of the matches that you've been privileged to referee?
Yeah, so basically I'm just mainly on Twitter. So my Twitter handle is just at refsgb93. So if you want to get in touch with me there, book me there, just send me a DM. And then when you can find me, I'm on BWI On Demand, I'm on Fight TV with on PW, on YouTube for most promotions. I was on a network at one point with Progress, but that's been taken down now, so you can't find me there. But at least I can say I was on the network.
You've got that, man. Excellent stuff. And where can we see you next? What's coming up soon for you then? What's in the pipeline?
So I've got 2 shows this weekend. I've got Fight Factory Wrestling in Lincoln. And then I've got Odyssey Pro Wrestling in Morecambe, which Morecambe's always a very crazy crowd. It's still really Morecambe, as they say. And then I've got 1PW coming up June the 10th. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Devil's Due. Yes. Yeah. I've been speaking to Steve about that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make that event. We're going to be away for that one. But we're going to be at the postponed Know Your Enemy, which is going to move to October. Yes. Yeah. 2 shows in one day. So Steve's going to come back.
It's going to be a long day.
Yeah, I know. So it's going to be a long day. But a great day. Very entertaining.
Oh, definitely.
But Steve's going to come onto the podcast again to help promote that as well. So Scott Bell, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been Wrestling with Faith. Again, you can find us at Faith_Wrestling on Twitter. Also Wrestling with Faith on Facebook and also YouTube as well, and all audio or podcast platforms as well. So Scott Bell, thank you very much for your time today, brother, and all the best. And no doubt you and I will catch up, if not at a show, on the podcast in the next few months.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Not a worry, brother. Take care, man.
Thank you.